Welcome to Conversations with G, practical wisdom from the irreverent sage. And I am your host, EFT expert and transformational speaker, Bethany Long. So, have you ever had that feeling that no matter what you do, it's never going to change? Maybe you used to believe in the law of attraction or that there was some actual promise of change, yet you do everything right and you still do not have the life that you want. Well, our first questioner is angry and wondering what the heck he's doing wrong and why he can't get it right. Why am I being punished this way? So hopefully G will be able to shed some light and some wisdom on this question.
Nope. Fresh out of wisdom tonight.
Fresh out of wisdom. Yeah. What are we to do?
But I'll give you some good psychoanalysis.
Oh, fabulous. Good.
It's his mother's fault.
It is.
There we go.
All right. Well, there you have it. I mean, we really don't need anything else there, right?
Nope. If it's not one thing, it's your mother.
Well, it's either the mother or the father. I mean, 50
No.
Right? Definitely the mother.
Definitely the mother. That's my misogynist coming out. Not my massage therapist, my misogynist.
Oh, gee, you're a riot.
So what's the question?
So, before we dive into the question, I want to remind all of our callers that *6 will raise your hand to ask a question or to make a comment, which you can do at any time throughout this call. So *6. All right. So here is the question. So I am angry and I'm tired of this whole law of attraction thing. It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I have my goal and I've been literally working on the plans, meeting with banks, ready to sign on the dotted line, and then the deal falls apart. Now the second time around, it seems pretty hopeless that I'll even get my store. I'm not sure I believe in this stuff anymore, that there's anything I can even do to change this life that I currently hate. My health is even declining, and I'm trying to get, my back and teeth and all that in order, spending money that I don't really have for this. It's frustrating because I don't even know what to do or how to change it. Obviously, I seem to be doing something wrong, but this has been going on for a couple of years now. So there you go.
Wow.
That's a hard one.
It is a hard one, and it really tugs at my heart because I've experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
And I still experience it.
Mm-hmm.
I should point that out.
Interesting.
Right? This is not the kind of thing that you get it once and then you're done.
Right.
Because it's constantly evolving. It's constantly trying to take you to the next level. Let's start with my first words of admonition, which people don't like to hear. But I have to start there before I back into the specifics of what might be going on in his or her particular situation. First off, the purpose of your life is not to get all the toys, to have everything work out perfectly, and to make all these wonderful successes and accomplishments. That's not what life is for. The purpose of your life is to wake up to the reality of who you really are. To live a life free from programming, free from conditioning, a life completely free to self-expression. To that end, things come into your life to make that happen, to amplify the need and to continually refocus your attention back on why you're here. The reason you're here is a spiritual reason, to awaken you to who you really are, to the big purpose, which is total freedom. Now, for most people, freedom, what they think of as freedom is really safety.
Mm-hmm.
They say, I want to be free. What you really want is a lot of money so you can do what you want without feeling like you're taking a risk.
Mm-hmm.
right? What we really, even our concept of abundance is really just safety on steroids. It means I got so much stuff that I never have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe my kids don't have to worry about it, their kids, and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
That's not abundance. Abundance is an inner strength. It's an inner quality. It's an inner resourcefulness. It's a sense that no matter what happens, I'm equal to it.
That's huge.
Yes.
No matter what happens, I'm equal to it.
Yes. That means I feel stable and safe no matter what's going on. I am no longer dependent upon my circumstances for the feeling of power, the feeling of resourcefulness, the feeling of freedom, and the feeling of wealth. Because all of those are feelings. Wealth is an energy, abundance is an energy. It's an internal energy. It's a state of mind. And it absolutely must be discovered inside oneself in order for any genuine manifestation of it to occur externally. And certainly if you want to have a consistent experience of it. Life is impermanent. Life is constantly going up and down. Your body lives not because the heart is constantly expanding. It would make for just one big suck and no beat. Right? It's when it contracts that it pushes the blood throughout the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it expands and it sucks in the blood that isn't useful anymore, right? Air fills it up with air, contracts, and that pushes it out again. The heartbeat of your life is the expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. The leading theory of the universe is that the Big Bang, which happened 13 billion years ago, eventually it's going to expand to the point where it begins to fall back on itself again. The entire process reverses until it once again contracts into the singularity, which is all the matter in the universe with all the space taken out. Which is about the size of a teaspoon. And then what? Nobody knows. Nobody knows because across that cusp, absolutely nothing survives. Right? Perhaps this has been going on forever. The next singularity, the next explosion, the next Big Bang, the next contraction. In the Hindu philosophy, that's exactly what's happened. It just happens over and over. Every time Brahma blinks, a universe appears. And when his eyes close, it disappears. He blinks, and a new universe appears. It's a beautiful image for the real nature of life is a constant expansion and contraction, birth and death. You are losing cells in your body at the rate of about 1 million a second. Did you know that most of the dust in the average person's home is dead skin cells?
Ew.
I know, it sounds kind of gross, but it cues you in to the processing that's going on of how life actually sustains itself.
Yuck.
Right. All right. Now let me get a little bit more into meaning people's hearts, because
Yes, because I would say that currently,
Yeah,
up
I'm
till
not
now,
done.
this has
I'm
been less
not.
than satisfying.
I'm not done. I'm not going to leave you hanging out
I know. I'm merely voicing some of the comments that I'm hearing.
there. Yeah, I'm hearing them echoing through the universe. Whoa.
Really, G? What the hell am I supposed to
Right.
do that?
Is he one
I'm
of
still
those?
angry. My life still sucks. And my body hurts. And seriously, you need to just cut me some slack because I don't
Seriously,
really know what
yeah,
all that means.
seriously. No. Well, what I want to do is I want to free you from the false promise,
Nice.
right? The false promise is everything's going to be wonderful and good and you do all this stuff and all this stuff is going to happen. That's a false promise. It's not true.
Mm-hmm.
It does not work that way. But the universe is benevolent. There is nothing hostile, aggressive, malevolent, or punishing in the universe at all. Nobody's out to get you. Nobody's out to, hurt you.
You can hear it in the comments that it really does feel like being punished.
Yeah, it does. And for a lot of people, it does feel that way. And let's face it, most of all of the religions in the West teach punishment as the main tool of God. Matter of fact, we're all being punished for the sin of the original humans. Right? That's the theory. Right? That's not actually true. That's not what the story meant. That isn't what it was about. But that's a really great way to make people feel so guilty about themselves that they always give a big chunk of their income to you in order to redeem you. It's a great way to keep people ashamed of themselves. And if they're ashamed of themselves and you're the one who's holding out the goodies for them, then they're gonna come running. The idea that you're actually innocent to start with means you don't need those guys. And that real story was about Adam and Eve, or it was actually Eve. Give her credit. She's the one that did it. And Adam,
Nice.
Boy, Adam's just so strong and courageous, and he's just like, he's just right out there protecting his woman, right? Says, the woman you gave me, she did it. She made me do it. What a little candy-assed wimp.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. Anyway, that whole point of that story was that the imaginary loss of innocence. But it was the necessary imagining of the loss of innocence. Because otherwise they were ignorant. They were like children. They were blissful, everything was wonderful. They didn't actually know how anything really worked. They didn't really have the capacity to be in fellowship with God because they did not really know the whole picture. And so they ate of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And when they ate of that, the world began to be divided into good, bad, to negative and positive, into smart and stupid, into beautiful and ugly. And instead of just having pure experience, they now began to judge. And with judgment came the first two things they felt. Shame was the first one, and fear. Because we ate this fruit of lost innocence. Rule number 1. The Irreverent Sage Law of Attraction 2.0.
Don't eat the apple.
Rule number 1. You're not broken.
Oh, it's not eat the apple. Okay. You're not broken.
You're not broken. No. It's okay to eat apples. Apples are great. Even the fruit of the knowledge of the tree of good and evil is fine.
Right.
Once you recognize it for what it is. When you recognize it for what it is, it becomes wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Without eating that fruit, you wouldn't have the capacity to do the one thing that makes humans godlike. And that is choose.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to discern, you know what? This is stupid. I'm not doing it anymore. Not because you don't know any better, but because you know better.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've experienced it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That leads us to faith. Yes, you don't know what's happening. You don't know why it's falling apart. As far as you can see, you're simply not getting what it is you want. Now, I don't know the person personally. I wish I did, because it would be really great to actually interact with their particular energy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right, so that I could make my answer more precise. But it could be different kinds of things. There could be just a sense of, you know what, it's okay. You just don't see enough yet. Now, that may not be satisfying, right? It's not going to be satisfying to the part of us that is just demanding that it gets what it wants, right? But if anybody has ever seen a little kid throwing a tantrum, that's what they're doing. And I also know this is not a religious statement that God knows better and he's given you this thing, and it's like, this is all for your good and for your learning. So we're going to turn the screws a little more. It's not that. It's not that either. The lesson isn't so you get the lesson, so you get the goodies. The lesson is to become peaceful in the midst of struggle. That's the blessing. To become peaceful in the midst of the struggle. The faith I'm talking about is not faith in an outcome. It's a faith in you. You become bigger than the outcome. You become more important than the outcome. You become more significant than the results. The growth of you into true maturity, into spiritual mastery and power is more important than whatever the particular thing is you're working towards. Now, that doesn't deny the value of the thing. It just puts the value in context. It isn't as important as you. It never will be. The stuff that's happening in your life is happening for you, to develop you to what you really want, which is freedom. And not just freedom like, oh, I can do this. Freedom of power. Freedom with mastery. Freedom with wisdom. Freedom with equanimity and compassion. That is not the least bit concerned about the circumstances that are going on, because it's so confident in its own inner resources. You no longer are a slave to circumstances. And we have to be, because circumstances come and go. They go up, they go down. There's a lot of really good people who know how to practice the law of attraction living up there in New York, whose houses are underwater. Right? Did they attract that? Now, the law of attraction 1.0 people will say yes. The Reverend Sage Law of Attraction 2.0 says, no fucking way. It isn't like that. That means there's a flaw in me. I had the wrong thought, and therefore a hurricane formed out in the middle of the Atlantic, moved all the way down through South America, through Cuba, up around the coast of, missed most of the thing, most of the country, turned left just when it was time to get to my house.
Strike me down.
Think about it. Think about
Like
it.
me.
Think about that. You and the other 2 million people, right? I mean, wasn't any of them having the right vibration?
Nope.
Right?
Apparently not.
It's a very remedial view of the whole thing, because it doesn't take into context the real purpose of all this, your liberation. And your liberation means a liberation from dependency upon circumstances for peace, happiness, and prosperity. Those are discovered to be inner characteristics. They're discovered to be qualities innate in your soul, which means that no matter what the circumstances are, you're happy and peaceful. Now that's what's so hard for us to get, because we always put the cart before the horse. We want to do all the vibratory work, we get our vibration up, then we get the thing that we want, and then we feel happy. That is the dependency that enslaves you. That dependency is the cause of reincarnation. That is what keeps you coming back over and over and over and over, because you can't let go of the circumstances. Once you do, it is the end of rebirth. It is the end of suffering. People think that freedom is the power to make everything go the way you want it to. If nobody has that power. and imagine, just imagine what happens if like 5 people, there's 6.7 billion people on the planet. Let's just see, just 5 of them get that power, and they all disagree as to what to do with it. Now what? Now what? No, I want this to happen. No, I want this to happen. It'd be like, the War of the Wizards, throwing fireballs and stuff at each other.
Exactly.
You ignorant idiot. I mean, really. We need to extrapolate. We need to be able to take these ideas of the law of attraction and make it big enough to see what it really implies. Right? And then start looking at our lives in context. Now, what I want people to do is I want people to honor deeply what it is they want. When I say things like that, to let go of that kind of stuff, people think, well, I'm not supposed to want it. Absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely not. You can't. If you want it, you want it. That's a fact. I don't ask people to try to deceive themselves. That's suppression. Right? That doesn't
Just
work.
as bad.
Yeah, we all know that doesn't work.
Not great.
Right? If the desire has arisen, the desire has arisen because it needs to. It's coming for a reason. And your job is to actually shepherd it. You find it precious. You honor it. Yes, you feel upset and frustrated when it gets frustrated and it doesn't get its day to shine. Right? But you don't do anything other than continue to honor it and let it be there. It's going to arise, and it is going to fulfill itself. The arising of a desire within your heart is it's not a personal possession. It is the universe itself expressing itself. And it appears through you because human beings are the vehicle of the expression that makes manifestation take place. We think that we're just kind of asking stuff and that the universe makes the manifestation take place. Wrong. The universe, the nature of the universe is to expand and constantly create form. The way it creates form is through the human being. We are the peak. We are the pinnacle of the process. The vision for what can be appears in us. We feel that. That isn't just a nice picture. Isn't that nice? Isn't that a beautiful thing? It appears as an urge, as a yearning, as a desire to make it real. It's a visceral appearing. of a vision. It isn't just, it isn't just, I have a vision, right?
Right.
There's,
The nudge, the piece, yes.
yeah. There's an emotional connection to it. There's a deep love for it. And love, of course, is, I want to be with what I love.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't just an appreciation from a distance. It's not a work of art hanging in a museum. They're beautiful, but they're not as satisfying as the art that is life. They're a representation of what the biggest art is, which is your life. So that vision of what your life can be. So I would recommend to this person that they expand their vision. Take their attention off the momentary obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
It is momentary. I swear to God, it is momentary.
Even though it feels like it's been momentary for like 2 years.
Look, I've worked on stuff that has taken me 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done other stuff that has taken 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've worked with people and coached people who were mature enough to, well, let's put it this way, they weren't really mature enough. They had already been so disillusioned by the time they came to me that they're willing to say, shit, okay, I'll do it.
Fine.
Because fine. Because there's plenty of them. There's plenty of people who come to me and they're not ready to be patient with it. They're not ready to actually learn the lesson. They want quick results.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do that. I can't do that unless they're ready, and that's what is in line for them in that moment. And it does happen. There's the 1-minute miracles that everybody who's a coach experience, that it's just a tiny little adjustment and bam, everything unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's others that aren't a tiny adjustment. They take a growth of character so that you literally grow into the person that naturally vibrates at the same level as the thing that you are seeking to manifest. Remember, the thing is a reflection of your vibration, right? So now that always leads to, well, then my vibration's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look, you can look at it like that, or you can say, my vibration isn't where it needs to be yet. If I'm a pitcher and I've got an 89 mile an hour fastball, right? It's pretty good, but I need 90 plus to hit the bigs, right? So what do? I can't stand that damn ball won't go any faster. No, you work out, you find, you get the information you need, you learn, you train it so that it gets that extra 1 mile an hour, or maybe more. Mm-hmm. You grow into it. Everything is a demand on us to grow into what we didn't think was possible. So it isn't a punishment. It isn't you're broken. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. And this instrument is the most flexible, malleable thing that has ever been created in the entire universe. It will become whatever you ask it to. But you have to ask it to. And when you're sitting there and you're just going, this isn't working, why is it? It always falls apart. You're not asking the system to do anything. Matter of fact, you're shaming, you're spanking it like a dog that peed on the carpet.
Yeah, it does feel at times that with this growth of character and getting the vibration up, that or getting the vibration to to match where you want to be and the work that comes with it, that, and even though you said we are we're equal to what's in front of us, but it does seem crushing sometimes. It does feel, I guess is the point of it all, but it does feel impossible and insurmountable.
I don't want to diminish that. Yes, you're absolutely right. I do not want to diminish that in the slightest. Anybody's ever worked with me, or Beth for that matter, has had the unpleasant experience of being asked to actually own completely what you're feeling, which means the frustration, the disappointment, all of it. Sink into it. Yes, it is frustrating. It's sometimes even grievous.
Yes.
Sometimes it's extremely painful. I am not diminishing that in the slightest, but it doesn't change the point.
Yeah.
It does not change the point, the purpose, the end game.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with disappointment is part of the maturity process. It demands of us that we learn to let go. There's a point at which you go, I can't do anything more, and you let go. And now that's not resignation. That's like, God damn it, I give up. It's not that. It's like, is there anything left to do? I'll do whatever needs to be done. Okay? And if there is something else, you do it. Right? And then there are these times when it's like, no, there's nothing left. And then you just let go. It's a moment of faith. It's a moment of trust. It's a moment of surrender. And that is the power. When you can just let go of it. That is power. That's the peace that everybody is seeking. That is the end of suffering. Because when you let go, you're free. It's going to do it or it's not. You're no longer dependent on it. It's so hard to get this, to drive this home. I know, and I say it a million times because we're all so conditioned to being these results-driven people. I mean, it's so ingrained in our culture.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You got to do this and to get that. And if you didn't get that, it means you didn't do this. Whack, 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 whack. Right? Failure, loser, right? Go get another degree, go to another certification, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's harsh, it's cruel the way we do this. Even the law of attraction 1.0 has been infected by it, right? Oh, it's your vibration. And there's even, I've even heard...
What vibration are you today?
I've even heard people saying to that, well, it must be your vibration. With that nasty, catty voice.
Obviously, it's your vibration.
Obviously, it's your vibration.
Obviously, it's 3 when you should be at a 10. So really, you need to get right, and you better start visioning a little bit more. And you damn well better go and work on your vision board because that's the only way it's going to work.
That's right. And you just see this, condescending bitch looking down her nose at you. I mean, it's like, God damn. And I really get it. Is there any end to it? The answer is yes. The thing is that you're actually playing a different game than you think you are. The goal is not the thing. The thing happens. It does. But it's not the goal. It's the wake on the boat. It's the added things. It's the stuff that happens after you seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all that. We're always seeking the things, right? As if it was the kingdom of heaven. Right? Everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. Okay, look, folks. Sorry. It's kind of a deal.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
We seek the fruit of mastery without being the master. And I know what that feels like, especially if there's a sense of desperation about it.
Yeah.
Especially when it looks like you're at your wit's end.
Yeah.
And especially when sometimes you do fail.
Yep.
We think, oh, this law of attraction thing is supposed to guarantee success. No, it's not. No, it's not. I've started referring to it as the law of reflection. It accurately reflects back your vibrational level, right? Which means you simply turn inside with compassion and you go, okay, listen up, folks. Somebody has an objection about what I'm doing here, and I want to hear what it is. right? We turn inside and do our inner work as if we got all these negative emotions we got to get rid of. We got these, these little, these terrible little critters running around that we have to beat up and dispose of, right? So every time a dissenting voice is heard, we step on it like it was, some kind of a noxious bug, right? What if that voice is legitimate? What if it's a part of you that isn't being honored? What if it's a part of you that isn't getting taken care of? What if it's a part of you that if you got what you want, it would be taken care of even less?
Right.
Would you really want that? Would you really want this at the expense of other parts of you? Because if you did, what would happen is you'd be unsatisfied and not know why. And you would just be on to the next accomplishment. This is how it works. I think, oh, this is going to do it for me, and then I spend my life trying to get it, and I don't get it, and I'm beating myself up about it. Or I do get it, I'm satisfied for a minute, and then the next dissatisfaction pops up, and I go, oh, I got to get that now, and it's on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and our entire life is chasing this carrot.
Right.
And we never know satisfaction. If you're turning inside and asking the crew, this incredibly vast world of energy that lives inside of you, right? Who's got an objection to this? And you listen to it. Two things will happen. Number one, you will get an insight into a bigger vision so that what you want will be satisfying. And two, you will now get the support of that energy in achieving your goal because it is now aligned with it. I worked with a guy once who was he wanted to make more money, and he was a lawyer, and he wanted to be a lawyer in a different kind of practice that he was now, that he was in that moment. And so we started working through a process that I developed, and we just started with picture, well, what is it you want it to look like? And he had a picture of it. And we just checked inside, is there any objections to it? And he could feel, yeah, something's not quite right. Good, let's go a little bit further. We used some tapping to help bring it out. And finally, he determined that he had this assumption built in that if he was going to make a lot of money, he was going to have to work really hard, and he didn't want to work that hard. He wanted to have time to read books and do all this stuff. So we started reformulating his goal. So it was honoring all these different voices which began to speak. So now the picture became, well, this is what it was, and this is the industry, and this is how I want to work, and this is the support I'm going to need, and this is the clearer the picture it got, the less and less inner resistance there was. They weren't negative energies that were trying to screw him up. They were aspects of himself that needed to be taken care of. Because yes, if I make $1 million a year, but I'm working 20 hours a day, what's the point?
Absolutely. Yep, I've seen this in my clients as well, and in myself as well.
So little by little, go ahead, sorry.
No, just as we really take a moment to look at our goals and to, just like G said, get into that space of asking the question and where's that resistance and where's the hesitation, it really does reveal incredible things that you wouldn't want to give up, or that you wouldn't want to, like this guy who doesn't want to work hard, has the assumption that you have to work hard. And, I know one of mine was that, I would also work hard, but never be able to be with my friends, and not willing to sacrifice that even more. So, no, there is going to be a part of me that holds back and doesn't and is resisting any kind of success or up-leveling, that this other part of me is like, yes, let's go, I'm ready. So it's what G said, it just opens you up to making peace with your inside and making the changes that are necessary, or the adjustments even in the intention of the goal potentially, that will lead to this is feeling of that, I don't know, that breathing, that surrender, that openness to allow it to come through for you.
So you're not surrendering to a negative result. You're surrendering
Yeah.
to the bigger picture. You're
Yeah.
surrendering to who you really are.
Yeah.
The faith isn't in, something's going to make this happen. The faith is in that you are, in fact, whole and that all of you needs to be satisfied. The surrender is to yourself.
Right.
And you see what's happening in the circumstances around you. You see it now as a reflection of a lack of inner congruence. It's not a punishment. It's not that, it's not. Some of your vibration is vibrating on that level. If it wasn't, you wouldn't have the desire for it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be ready for the desire to even get in. You have to have matured to that point in the first place. Otherwise, none of this would have even happened. But what happens is as that desire begins to mature, it has to enlist the aid of the rest of you.
Mm-hmm.
All of you eventually makes its input, and that desire, the picture becomes clearer. The goal becomes more real. It becomes more diverse. It becomes more colorful. It stops being so abstract, I mean, I talk to a lot of people, their goal is, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, can we be a little bit more specific?
Right.
$100 more? No. And then they'll say something like, $1 million. Really? You want $1 million?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do with $1 million? I don't know. I'll decide when I get it. It's like no clarity whatsoever.
Right.
No idea. There's just $1 million because it's just, I want to feel safe and then I'll be able to do stuff. Have you ever spent any time just thinking about what it is you'd actually want to do with it? How do you want to live? What's the vision? What is this money going to be for? It's like saying I want to have 1,000 batteries and you don't own a flashlight.
That's awesome. Well, gee, when you put it like that, I mean, it does seem a little bit foolish.
It is because that $1 million is an energy. It's a potential energy, right? Mm-hmm. It is a facilitating energy to do something. What do you want to do? Right? That's the conduit. That's the conduit. What do you want to do? What do you want to have? What do you want to give? And what do you want to receive? Mm-hmm. It's all part of that, the beautiful flow of the energy of money throughout all of us, because it doesn't just accumulate, in one place. It moves. Money is a very fluid energy. It operates like water. It's forever moving from place to place to place. And so how are we facilitating that? Mm-hmm. What's the and what value are we bringing to the whole thing? God, there's so many parts to that. When it comes to these things, and I don't want to try to go into all of them in one show.
Especially when we only have 12 minutes left.
Yeah, I actually did a class on it that I called the money body.
Oh.
A while ago, and I think I may dust that one off and bring it out again.
Mm-hmm.
Because I describe in detail. There's 4 phases. There's 4 phases to it. It isn't just simply visualize and you get something. Mm-hmm. There's actually 4 parts to it, And, like a garden hose, doesn't matter where the crimp in the hose is, right? The water don't come out.
Uh-huh. Yes, exactly.
So, do you think I covered all of that for him and not left him feeling like, yeah, you're just going to have to suffer for a while till you grow into it, Buster? That's not my intent.
I know. It's definitely not. I know. And no, you did. You really covered it. And it's for me, as I'm just it's just so hard, even though we have all these, even though we know the bigger picture, and you've had moments and I've had moments where when you're in it, it's just sometimes so hard to see all this and feel all this. And, this is when you reach out for support, and this is when you do your tapping, or you do whatever it is that you do to remind you of the truth. And that's why I, surround myself with people like G and my friends and mentors who, sometimes can see it when I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And because it does feel dark sometimes, and that's the truth. And I don't know, I always like to bring it to the, I guess, to the total opposite, and just to the place of, total discouragement and despair and sadness. Like you said, that's so real. Mm-hmm. And yep, it is real. And yes, you have strategies to move through that as you honor that. But it also, I think, is imperative, especially, I don't know, especially when you're in those places, especially when sometimes, depending on who you are and who you surround yourself with, you're constantly hearing reinforcement of what you're feeling, as opposed to what might be another aspect, what might be another perspective, as like the perspective that G is sharing. So it's so imperative to have people who, and even if you don't get it, or if you're like, you don't believe it, it doesn't matter, to just constantly show you that there might be another way. And then, it's awesome. One of the folks that I interviewed for the Big Bold Business Breakthrough, which I will mention in a second, but she is so incredible. She is a real numbers girl, marketing numbers girl, spreadsheet girl, and she's so cool, and she shared so much. But I'll give you one little tidbit. She shared that she didn't believe in this kind of, miracles thing, this faith thing, this, the universe will, is benevolent, and, as I take action, it's going to meet my, all that stuff, right? She's like, I don't believe it. And she'd been hearing it for years from a friend of hers for years. And then I guess, there's that tipping point, that place where you're finally able to see it, and you're finally able to, absorb it in a different way and take it in. And she says, and now I've had just too much evidence that when you take steps, and when you hold that vision, and when you move through the fear, and you continue to walk, then, things do change, and miracles do happen in ways that you never would have thought of. I cannot deny that anymore. So, and it may have taken 2 years. It may have taken however long it took for her to, to adjust to that kind of perspective, or to even see that might even be a reality. But we definitely have to immerse ourselves and saturate ourselves, or at least expose ourselves to that vision, or that place where you want to be. So that's another reason why conversations with G, and having G to talk to and to share his wisdom, is so important and brilliant that all of you are making this choice.
Well, it is why I created the Just Allow It course, because it is that skill that lets you be with stuff that you don't really want to be with. It cultivates that ability to be with things that are really unpleasant on the surface, and afford you the dignity and the space to be able to let them become what they really are, so that you can get through the initial resistance to them, the initial unpleasantness and discomfort of them, so you can get to the heart of it. Right? And at first, it's just an inner resistance, that makes all this stuff look bad. None of it's bad. It feels bad at first, but if you can go past that bad feeling and actually get to what's really there, you find it's never bad. Never.
Yeah.
Because you're not bad. You're not actually broken. There's nothing actually wrong with you. There's nothing vile about you. There's just parts of you that have never been allowed to speak.
Yeah, I know. I feel that.
Yeah.
All the work that we have shared, and it's just, when you start to see it this way, there really is a compassion. There really is a sense of understanding, and maybe a little more tolerance, even in the annoyance. Lord
Mm-hmm.
knows, I have plenty of annoyance and frustration. but, but with that, as I work through that as well, it usually does lead to that place of, these parts that aren't being heard or haven't never been heard. And when you really give them some space, you see how, I don't know, for me, I just always see how, the part of you that wants to just be loved, the part of you that wants to, I don't know, that wants to be with friends, the part of you that doesn't want to work your butt off so so you never see anybody. All those parts are so good and so okay. And if they were friends of yours, you would say, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And when they're your friends, your life is balanced.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
that's where the balance is. The balance in life comes from every voice within you being heard and acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it feels balanced. If you don't feel balanced, it means there's a part of you that isn't being loved. It isn't being embraced. It isn't being honored. It isn't being fed.
Yeah.
It isn't being nourished.
Exactly. Well, gee, that brings us, believe it or not.
No.
Yeah.
Can't be.
To our wrap up.
Oh, that's too bad. It is such a great subject, and it touches my heart every time I hear a question like that.
Yeah.
It just really just breaks my heart because I know the pain people are going through. I know the frustration, and but I also know the blessing that's awaiting them.
Yeah. You do.
Yes.
You really do, G. And that's why we have you, to share that blessing that is here for us, that we can't see,
That's right. That's the job of the teacher is to hold the space for you until you can hold it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't need the teacher anymore.
So we can get rid of you?
Yep. That's right.
Not that I would ever do that, gee. Can't get rid of me that easily.
Can I go now? Am I done? Not quite. There's a few billion more people.
Yeah,
we have to.
So I would love to mention a little project that we've got going here.
Yes.
And tell folks how they can get more. So you've heard me and you've heard G talk about your big, bold business breakthrough.
Yep.
And this is way more than any kind of speaker series, although there will be amazing speakers and top experts like G, for example, and me as well. But it really is an educational course to immerse you in cutting-edge content with step-by-step strategies. And you'll be challenged throughout this training to implement and to commit to having a bigger impact in your business and your mission. So, there's lots in store for you. And I'm going to give you a link, which is conversationswithg.com/Beth, so that you can get more information on it. But, the intention and why I grabbed these incredible mentors of mine and I'm grateful to say friends of mine is because, G and I both get that in order to up-level in your business and to really step out there and stand out there in your mission, you need both the inner transformational work that we always talk about and the outer business savvy strategies. You need both the action steps as well as the inner transformation. Both. No matter where you are in your success, you can always be more successful and do more by going inside and or learning a new strategy, or going inside and doing the inner transformation. So they go hand in hand. And the incredible experts that I've gathered are taking you on both, taking both of those and putting both of those together. So you get
It's such an important point. It's such an important point to get home. You can't rely on just the one. If you rely just on business acumen, you can get pretty far, but you will be unsatisfied.
Yes.
And you'll also run into blocks and have no idea what to do with them, because they're not blocks in your skill. They're blocks in your soul. And so to be able to clear yourself, your whole emotional system, gives you greater access to what you do know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But you also need to know how to do stuff.
We've learned that, G, haven't we?
No, I developed I was born with an artistic ability, but I had to learn how to play the damn piano.
Mm-hmm.
I had to sit there and do the scales and learn the stupid little songs until it finally began to come. I had to acquire the skill as well. Both of these are required if you're actually going to live life at the level that people want to live it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I'm very, very grateful that you have put all that work and energy into to get together this particular group of people, and I'm very, very proud to be a part of them.
Thank you, because I've been working damn hard, and I am like, it's turning out beautifully, and I'm just thrilled to share it with everybody. And I know that anyone who listens is totally going to. It's really different, and it's going to challenge you to step out in a way that you haven't before. So, of course, G's on it. So if nothing else, you need to listen in.
Yep, and I'm giving away a little free bonus too. For it. So, but conversationswithg.com/Beth, BETH, will take you to the page where you can check out all of the speakers and register.
Mm-hmm.
And it's free.
You forgot to say that.
Yeah, it's free.
Yeah, it's intensive and it's free.
Yeah. So the price is right.
So thank you so much for tuning in again to Conversations with G. We have G, our Reverend Sage, and me. So we'll see you next week again, Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern p.m.
I'll be there.
Love your questions and comments, so keep them coming in. Thank you so much.
Good night, all.